distinguished invitees present here this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to witness the arrival of the distinguished guests and the dignitaries. May I kindly request everyone to please rise.
Ladies and gentlemen, we witnessed the arrival of the President-elect of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Mr. Rajiv Amritsuriya. Mr. Rajiv Amritsuriya is accompanied by his proposers and seconders, Dr. Faiz Mustafa, President's Council, Mr. Rienzi Arsakularatna, President's Council, Mr. Srinath Pereira, President's Council, Mr. W. Dayaratna, President's Council, Mr. Shamil Pereira, President's Council, and Ms. Shiranti Gunawardana, Senior Instructing Attorney. He is also accompanied by his seconders, Mr. Upali Mohottige, President's Council, Ms. Ramani Diseram, Attorney at Law, Mr. Vivekanandan Puvidaran, President's Council, Mr. Gunaratna Vandinayaka, Attorney at Law, Professor Vasanta Seneviratna, Attorney at Law, and Mrs. Inoka Pereira, Attorney at Law.
To invoke blessings for this auspicious occasion, we shall now proceed with the lighting of the traditional oil lamp. May I respectfully invite the following dignitaries to join in the ceremonial lighting of the traditional oil lamp. I would like to invite His Lordship, Bhushan R. Gawai, 52nd Chief Justice of India. Honorable Justice Yasantha Kodagoda, Senior Most Justice of the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. His Lordship A.H.M.D. Nawaz, Justice of the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. Honorable Parinder Rana Singha, President's Counsel, Attorney General. Mr. Rajiv Vamarasuriya, President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. His Lordship Rohantha Abe Surya, President's Counsel, President of the Court of Appeal.
Honorable Viraj Dayaratna, President's Counsel, the Solicitor General of Sri Lanka. President's Counsel, Mr. Rienzi Arsakularatna, the Deputy President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. Mr. Nalin C. De Silva, the Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. Mr. Pasindu Silva, Treasurer of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. The newly elected Assistant Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. The outgoing Secretary, Mr. Chatra Galhena, Attorney at Law. The outgoing Assistant Secretary, Mr. Sarinda Jayawardena, Attorney at Law. The Administrative Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Mrs. Surani Samarasekara. And the Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Thalaya Singham Prakalathan.
We would like to request the distinguished dignitaries to please be seated in the head table, and for others to please remain standing. We will be moving ahead with the national anthem of Sri Lanka. Please stand in attention for the national anthem of Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka Mata, Upper Sri Lanka, Namo, 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 Namo Mata. Sundara Sitarini, Surani Ati Sobhamana Lanka. Rajya Ganaya Mekamal Valatulu Biri Jaya Bhumiya Ranya.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. And once again, it gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 52nd Convocation of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. And we are deeply honored by the presence of distinguished members of the judiciary, the Attorney General's Department, senior members of the bar, esteemed guests, and members of the legal fraternity. And now, ladies and gentlemen, in order to begin the formal session for today, we would like to pay tribute to the past presidents of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka stands today upon the strong foundation laid by its past leaders. Please, there would be a tribute for the past presidents of the Bar Association.
I now invite Honorable Viraj Dayaratna, President's Counsel, Solicitor General, to announce the results of the election for the post of President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for the year 2026-2027.
Honorable members of the head table, distinguished guests, results of the election to the post of President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for the year 2026-2027. Whereas Mr. Rajiv Tilak Amarasuriya, Attorney at Law, being the only candidate who handed over nominations for the post of President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka in terms of Rule B1 of Schedule B, titled Nominations and Election Procedure Rules for the Office of President and Secretary of the Constitution of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, I declare that the said Mr. Rajiv Tilak Amarasuriya, Attorney at Law, has been duly elected, uncontested, to the post of President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for the year 2026-2027.
Thank you, sir. And now I respectfully invite Honorable Parinda Ranasinghe, President's Counsel, the Attorney General of Sri Lanka, to conduct the formal induction of the President-elect of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya. And I also request the head table to kindly rise for this moment.
I would like to once again invite Honorable Viraj Dayaratna, President's Counsel, Solicitor General of Sri Lanka, to announce the results of the election for the post of Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for the year 2026-2027.
Members of the head table, distinguished guests, results of the election to the post of Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for the year 2026-2027. Whereas Mr. Alagiya Vadu Nalin Chandika De Silva, Attorney at Law, being the only candidate who handed over nominations for the post of Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka in terms of Rule B1 of Schedule B, titled Nominations and Election Procedure Rules for the Office of President and Secretary of the Constitution of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, I declare that the said Mr. Alagiya Vadu Nalin Chandika De Silva, Attorney at Law, has been duly elected, uncontested, to the post of Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for the year 2026-2027.
Thank you, sir. And now we would like to invite the newly elected Secretary, Mr. Nalin C. De Silva, to announce the results of the election for the post of Deputy President and Zonal Vice Presidents, Treasurer, and members of the Executive Committee for the year 2026-2027.
His Lordship Bhushanar Gawai, the 52nd Chief Justice of India, distinguished members of the head table, Lordships and Ladyships of the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal, Honorable Judges of the High Court, District Courts and Magistrates Courts, President's Council, my learned friends, Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to announce the appointments made at the first meeting of the Bar Council held today for the year 2026-2027. At the election conducted today, the following members were duly elected to the Executive Committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for the year 2026-2027. Mr. Riensi Arsakularatne, President's Council, was elected as the Deputy President, uncontested, and the following members were elected as the Zonal Vice Presidents representing the 23 zones. Anuradhapura Zone, Mr. Kitsiri Ambagavatta. Ampara Zone, Mr. A.L. Nadir. Avisavela Zone, Mr. Hemantha Vettasinghe. Badulla Zone, Mrs. Takshila Suryarachi. Batikalo Zone, Mr. Tiyaheshwaran. Colombo Zone 1, Mr. Sandhu Nagavatta. Colombo Zone 2, Mr. Atula Ranagala. Colombo Zone 3, Mr. Gunaratna Vaninayaka. Chilav Zone, Mr. Hilary Fernando. Gold Zone, Mr. Asiri De Silva. Gampaha Zone, Mr. Chandima Vijayaratna. Hambantota Zone, Mr. Upali Mohatti, President's Council. Jaffna Zone, Mr. Nayendran Pardeban. Kalutara Zone, Mr. Samantha Mallavarachi. Kandy Zone, Mr. Sunil Veerakon. K-Goal Zone, Mr. P. Senanayaka. Kurunegala Zone, Mr. Nadun Bandara. Matara Zone, Mr. Kirti Jayasinghe. Nigamba Zone, Janaka Abesekara, Mr. Nuwarelia Zone, Mrs. Badra Seniviratna. Rattanpura Zone, Mr. M.M. Rafiq. Vavuniya Zone, Mr. Kandasamy Dayabaran. Corporate Law Association, Ms. Himali Urugudavatta. And also Mr. Pasindu Silva was elected as the Treasurer for the year 2026-2027 uncontested. There was also a contest for the positions of Executive Committee members with over 10 years in practice, and the following members were elected to the 8 respective positions. Mr. Chandana Lena Patabandi, President's Council. Mr. Priyantha Alagewanna. Mr. Gamini Alvis, Mr. Tishya Veragoda, Mr. Jagat Abenayaka, Mr. Lakshan Dias, Mrs. Chandani Dayaratna, Mr. Mahesh Kotwell. Further, there was a contest for the positions of Executive Committee members with less than 10 years in practice, and the following members were elected to the 5 respective positions. Mr. Lakshan Abewardana, uncontested. Ms. Ushani Bombuwala, uncontested. Mr. Lakshan Vijayawardena, uncontested. Outstation members Ashani Ratnayak and Nadisha Pereira. On behalf of all present here, we extend our warmest congratulations to all members elected and appointed to the Executive Committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for the year 2026-2027. We wish them every success in carrying out their responsibilities and serving the legal profession with integrity, dedication, and distinction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nalin De Silva, Attorney at Law, Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. It is now my privilege and honor to invite His Lordship, Honorable Justice Yasantha Kodagoda, the Senior Most Justice of the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, to address this gathering.
Honorable Justice Bhushan Ramakrishna Gawai and other distinguished invitees, the Attorney General, Honorable Parinder Ranasinghe, President's Council, the President of the Court of Appeal, Honorable Justice Rohantha Abesurya, President's Council, the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya, the Solicitor General, Mr. Viraj Dayaratna, President's Council, Mr. Nalin De Silva, the new Secretary of the Bar Association, the Treasurer, Mr. Pasindu Silva, Mr. Riensi Arsakularatne, President's Council, the Deputy President of the Bar, esteemed members of the judiciary, distinguished President's Council, members of the Bar Council, and other members of the Bar Association, ladies and gentlemen. I consider it a singular honor to address the 52nd annual convocation of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. I have had the occasion to work from within the Bar Council for decades and also partner with the Bar Association in various activities of the Bar, now for over 35 years. My past experience with the Bar Association has always been extremely pleasant and productive, and with the passage of each year, my admiration for the very important multiple roles being performed by the association has only grown. To me, the Bar Association plays an indispensable role in the protection of our system of justice. Therefore, it gives me great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, and pride to address you on this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a rare privilege to share a stage with a gentleman of the caliber of our chief guest today, Justice Bhushan Ramakrishna Gavai. Honorable Justice Gavai, if I may be so bold, it is perhaps a misfortune for Bharat that it could not enjoy the benefits of a longer stewardship of India's judiciary under your command. Yet, though your tenure as Chief Justice of India was short, you left an indelible mark in India's system of justice. In a world where administration of justice is often reduced to a mere mechanical resolution of disputes through the strict application of the black letter of the law, the judicial precedents you created represents a rare breed. Your judgments reflect the thinking and views of a jurist of high eminence, a gentleman par excellence with high integrity who wore the judicial garb, and an adjudicator who always decided in a manner that protects public interest. You were, in my humble opinion, a true justice with unmatched judicial independence, who used your vast knowledge of the law to blend your profound commitment towards upholding justice with your philosophy of the need to protect human dignity and fairness being delivered to all. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that the true measure of Justice Gavai's greatness lies not only in the important judgments he has delivered over several decades, but also in the magnanimity during challenging times. During his term as the Chief Justice of India, when confronted with a serious act of contempt of court committed by a lawyer with a deranged mind, whose conduct in open court was an affront to the dignity of the judiciary, Justice Gavai chose not to swipe the sword of contempt of court on him, but instead he displayed the shield of empathy and compassion. He directed law enforcement and prosecutorial authorities not to take any action against that deranged man. That incident, ladies and gentlemen, signals the strength of a judge, which is not found in his power to imprison or issue sanctions on people, but on his ability to understand people and always act in the best interest of the public at large. On that particular occasion, ladies and gentlemen, Justice Gawai proved that justice is not a cold and a mechanical application of the rules, but a human endeavor at delivering justice. Honorable Justice Gawai, I would like to say that your generosity towards that foolish madman who happened to be a lawyer shed on me a guiding light to ensure that I too maintain my own judicial temperament and the approach to the delivery of justice in a soft, patient, empathetic, compassionate, wise, and gentlemanly manner. Mr. Amarasuriya, your first year as the president of the Bar Association was a trump of quiet diplomacy, effective administration, and unmatched success. You ensured that matters that needed to be addressed were responded to in a manner that ensured that the maintenance of the integrity and the dignity of the bench and the bar are protected, and that you secure tangible results in the best interest of our justice system. You ensured that the interests of the legal profession were optimally protected, and the continuing legal education and skills development initiatives of the association proceed with high momentum. I am sure that the Deputy President, Mr. Rienzi Askodaratna's Vice Counsel, and the support of your Executive Committee would have been a great source of strength to you. The uncontested mandate you received for a second term is the highest tribute the bar can pay to its leader. You deserve it very much. Yet, I must also respectfully remind you that it is also a heavy debt that must be repaid through continuous visionary and strong stewardship of the legal profession during the second term. I am confident that in the coming months, your dedication to serve the legal profession will only deepen and be enriched with greater wisdom, courage, and strength. I wish you, Rajiv, all the very best. I welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the election of the new secretary, Mr. Nalin De Silva. Nalin, in the past, you have been a seasoned activist and an effective organizer of activities of the Bar Association. You have done well in the past, and on this occasion, in your new and well-earned capacity as secretary, I have every reason to believe that you will perform exceptionally well. Might I say that I expect the synergy between you and Rajiv to transform the association into an even more vibrant sentinel of our profession. Nalin, I wish you too all the very best. Ladies and gentlemen, I take this opportunity to pay tribute to the former secretary, Mr. Chatura Galhena. Can I please ask Mr. Galhena to rise? Please remain standing. Chatura, during the very beginning of your tenure, you encountered an unexpected and troublesome turbulent period. On that occasion, you stood, as you are standing today, at the helm of the association, handling the Bar Association's affairs almost single-handedly. You were steady and remained calm while ensuring that the work of the association was not disrupted. The profession, Chatura, owes you a profound debt of gratitude on your dedicated services. Ladies and gentlemen, let's applaud him. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, in Halsdorf, news travels quite fast. The talk of an initiative being taken to form a guild of President's Council reached my ears a couple of weeks ago. I welcomed that development wholeheartedly. In addition to being competent counsel, the seniors of our profession, who are also President's Council, are, in my opinion, the custodians of our traditions and repositories of collective wisdom. Therefore, in my view, the new guild, which I hope would come into existence very soon, should not be viewed as an exclusive conclave for the elite or as a breakaway from the Bar Association. The guild should be viewed by all of us, ladies and gentlemen, as a council comprising of eminent seniors who are responsible gentlemen. We must prevail upon them to be our mentors and advisors and to guide all of us, the bench and the bar. We must prevail upon them to do so in a steadfast manner, as often we see such guidance to be absolutely necessary. I urge Rajiv and the Bar Association's new executive committee to work in close collaboration with the President's Council's Guild, drawing upon their collective wisdom to steady the profession's course. I wish that initiative success. Ladies and gentlemen, on occasions such as this, we must take a moment to confront the stark realities of our system of justice. The ground situation reflects that our courts are not merely busy, but that they are clogged with cases. I don't personally know how correct the figure is, but those in authority at the Ministry of Justice claim that there are 1 million cases in the entire system of justice. That figure is likely to be correct, as seen by daily case lists of our courts, the volume of work being handled by even court on a daily basis, the time span between 2 consecutive trial dates, and by the number of years a case takes to be concluded. I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, whether it is not a moral tragedy for all of us that a civil case, such as a partition case, takes several decades as opposed to a couple of years to reach finality. By the time the Supreme Court's judgment is pronounced, following a trial in the district court and 2 appellate hearings by higher courts, in most of our civil cases, the original litigants are often long in their graves, leaving only the second or even the third generation to inherit the benefits of the judgment, following a decades-long struggle through multiple courts. The situation relating to criminal cases is no better. The delay in the administration of justice, in my view, is the slow poison of our entire system of justice, and a key reason for the gradual deterioration of the public's faith in our system of justice. I do appreciate, ladies and gentlemen, that those of you who practice in court may not necessarily be responsible for the delay. In fact, more often than not, lawyers are ready and prepared to argue their cases or present evidence. It is often the court that does not have adequate time to take up all the cases on the list. That is, ladies and gentlemen, due to multiple obstacles faced by us in the judiciary, most of which being beyond our control. I urge you, ladies and gentlemen, we must rectify this situation. We must act together and redress this situation in the best interest of the public at large and our own legal profession. This is a problem, ladies and gentlemen, that has got only aggravated year after year. And therefore, the solution also cannot be found on a rapid basis. I am convinced, ladies and gentlemen, after 38 years in the legal profession, that the solution can come only through, and I repeat, only through a cooperative approach by the bench and the bar. I urge you to cooperate in that regard. Ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, I would like to say that I assume that you are acutely conscious of the responsibilities as members of the bar, which should function as custodians and guardians of the entire system of justice and the legal profession. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the Bar Association must remain, I repeat, must remain vigilant at all times against possible harmful lesions, as I wish to call them, in the system. Inappropriate intrusions into the system of justice, and also against decay of our standards from within the profession. You, as members of the bar, and the Bar Association, as the most powerful and responsible professional organization of this country, must function as gatekeepers of our profession and maintain the independence and professionalism of the profession, protect the rule of law, and of course, the independence of the judiciary. We must act jointly, ladies and gentlemen, and ensure that the independence, competence, and professional ethics of the justice system are not seen as relics of the past, but as true features of our contemporary system of justice. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I once again take this opportunity of wishing Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya, Mr. Nalin De Silva, and other officials, as well as the newly elected Executive Committee, a year of transformative success. I remain hopeful that the Bar Association remains to be the jealous guardian of the rule of law and the independence of both the judiciary and our legal profession. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Lordship. We shall now witness a presentation highlighting the work, achievements and milestones of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka during the year 2025 to 2026.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka commenced its 2025 to 2026 term with dignity and tradition. The formal ceremony marked the induction of Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya as the 29th President of the Association, ushering in a new chapter of leadership.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka has been at the heart of this mission. Since its inception, it has championed the interests of the legal community, defended judicial independence, and worked tirelessly to uphold the principles of justice for all. The association stands as a testament to the collective strength of our profession, one that advocates not only for its members, but for a fair and
The management committee for the term was also inducted, with appointing President's Counsel Rienziyar Sukularatne as Deputy President, Mr. Chatura A. Galhena as Secretary, Mr. Pasindu Silva as Treasurer, and Mr. Sarinda Javardhana as Assistant Secretary for the 2025 to 2026 term. In the inaugural address, the President articulated a clear and forward-looking vision for the Bar, which grounded in strength, independence, and principled leadership, while fostering inclusivity, empathy, and professional excellence in its governance and practice.
A bar that is committed to providing equal opportunity to all. A BASL that is professionally run. A BASL that is not focused on profit, but on member interest and welfare. A BASL that will be the most respected and most influential professional body in the country. BASL that is broad-based and inclusive and will attend to the requirements of every member category. A BASL that understands that it belongs to all and not some. A BASL that appreciates that there is an urgent need for change and development both in our profession and the wider system of administration of justice.
The year 2025 marked a historic milestone, the Golden Jubilee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. The Golden Jubilee celebrations of the BASL were marked by several distinguished events, including a Golden Jubilee oration that honored 50 years of dedicated service to the legal profession, reflecting on its legacy and reaffirming its enduring commitment to the rule of law and the advancement of justice. This was complemented by a commemorative bell-ringing ceremony at the Colombo Stock Exchange, symbolizing the long-standing partnership between the legal profession and the financial sector in supporting Sri Lanka's institutional and economic development. The Golden Jubilee Ball served as the concluding social highlight of the celebrations. Held under a masquerade theme, the event created an atmosphere of elegance and fellowship, fostering a camaraderie and professional engagement among members of the bar. A key highlight of the term was the successful hosting of the National Law Conference 2025 in Kandy, under the theme Building a Resilient Sri Lanka.
This conference stands as a beacon of our legal discourse in our nation. This is not just an academic discussion, but a celebration of 224 years of excellence of legal arguments, counter-arguments, written submissions, judgments, setting aside judgments, restoring judgments, etc.
Bringing together over 250 delegates, including international participants, the conference addressed emerging legal, economic, and social challenges. Distinguished speakers and technical sessions enriched professional knowledge and fostered meaningful dialogue. The Junior National Law Conference, the largest gathering of young lawyers in the country, further demonstrated the Bar Association's commitment to nurturing the next generation. Under the theme Raise the Bar, the event empowered junior practitioners through learning, networking, and professional engagement.
My message to you is simple: raise the bar in skills, service, in spirit. In a world quick to criticize institutions, the bar must stand as an institution of excellence. By raising the standards of advocacy, ethics, inclusivity, and compassion, you do not only raise your own careers, you raise the credibility of justice itself.
The Bar Association expanded its reach across the island through mini-symposiums, legal symposiums, and regional programs, engaging members of the legal profession at grassroots level. Notably, the association organized 88 webinars, 22 workshops, 16 Niti Sasi programs, 16 seminars, 6 certificate courses, and 4 junior orientations to enhance the knowledge and skills of legal practitioners as well as law students across the country. Notably, during the year, the Bar Association entered strengthened relationships with foreign legal institutions, further strengthening institutional collaboration and cross-border legal cooperation. Further, the Bar Association strengthened its global presence through active participation in international forums. At the Presidents of Law Associations in Asia Summit in New Delhi and the Law Asia Conference in Hanoi, the association contributed to discussions on contemporary legal challenges, human rights, and the evolving role of the legal profession. A defining highlight of this term was the historic official delegation to India, led by Mr. Rajiv Amrasuriya, alongside 25 members. During this visit, the delegation engaged with leading figures of the Indian legal community, strengthening regional ties and professional collaboration. The most significant moment of the visit was the delegation's appearance before the Supreme Court of India. In a truly landmark occasion, the president of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka delivered a formal address before the court, marking a historic milestone in the Sri Lankan legal history.
It is particularly memorable for us that during that same visit to Colombo, Your Lordship was formally nominated to be the 53rd Chief Justice of India. It is therefore singular honor for me today to have the privilege of addressing Your Lordship, the distinguished bench, and the members of the Indian Bar before this august Supreme Court of India. This moment reaffirms the deep and enduring friendship between our two legal systems that have evolved in parallel, influenced by common legal traditions, similar constitutional framework, and a shared commitment to the rule of law, judicial independence, and democratic governance. But the connections between our two countries go far deeper than the legal and constitutional spheres.
Beyond the courtroom, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka extended its reach to communities across the nation. During this term, the association carried out 6 legal awareness programs and 6 legal aid initiatives in rural areas, delivering vital legal knowledge and services directly to those who need them the most. In the aftermath of Cyclone Ditwa, swift action was taken. Teams were deployed to visit flood-affected courthouses and lawyers' offices, assessing the damage and supporting recovery efforts. Special attention was given to the historic Kandy Law Library, ensuring that meaningful steps were taken towards its restoration. Equally important was the well-being of its own members. The association organized 2 dedicated medical camps exclusively for legal practitioners, prioritizing their health and care. Strengthening bonds beyond the profession, the 16th Law Medical Encounter, held in collaboration with the Sri Lanka Medical Association, stood as a celebration of camaraderie, unity, and sportsmanship between the legal and medical communities. During this term, the association demonstrated unwavering commitment to the rule of law, particularly during moments of national significance. One of its earliest actions, within a day of the newly elected office bearers, the Bar Association responded to an urgent matter involving a lady attorney-at-law remanded at the Variapola prison over an allegation of contempt of court. President Rajiv Amarasuriya invoked the Court of Appeal's writ jurisdiction, challenging the Puttlam High Court's orders in the defense of the profession's rights and dignity. Yet this was only the beginning. For the first time in 14 years, a special general meeting was convened on the 15th of February at the Dr. H.W. Javantana QC Auditorium, following the tragic murder of an attorney-at-law and his wife in Agurekoda. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, the legal community responded with unity. The following day, members of the legal profession across the island collectively refrained from appearing in court and engaged in a nationwide protest. This expanded to thousands of lawyers refraining from appearing in courts across the country. Notably, throughout the year, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka actively engaged in matters of national importance by issuing statements, making representations to relevant authorities, and initiating legal action where necessary. Among its most significant interventions was the filing of a landmark fundamental rights petition following the tragic death of a 23-year-old student at the Sabaragama University, who died by suicide after being subjected to prolonged and degrading ragging. The petition alleged the systemic failure to enforce anti-ragging laws and seeks to address the prevailing culture of impunity. With integrity as its foundation and justice as its purpose, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka will continue to stand firm in principle, united in strength, and unwavering in its duty to the nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was but a short glimpse of the work of the Bar Association during the year 2025-2026, and we certainly look forward to an eventful year for the year 2026-2027. And ladies and gentlemen, it's my great privilege to invite none other than the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya, the Chief Architect behind all these projects, to come and address all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a big round of applause. The President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya.
Your Lordship, Bhushan R. Gavai, the 52nd Chief Justice of India, Justice Yasantha Kodagoda, President's Counsel, the senior most Justice of the Supreme Court, the Honorable Attorney General, the Honorable Solicitor General, the Deputy President and members of the head table, representatives of foreign missions and international agencies, justices of the Supreme Court, His Lordship the President and other justices of the Court of Appeal, former Chief Justices and former judges of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal, judges of other courts, my proposers and seconders, that is Dr. Faiz Mustafa, President's Counsel, Mr. Rienzi Arasakuratna, President's Counsel, Mr. Srinath Pereira, President's Counsel, Mr. W. Dayaratna, President's Counsel, Mr. Shamil Pereira, President's Counsel, Mr. Shiranti Gunawardana, Senior Instructing Attorney, Mr. Upali Mohti, President's Counsel, Mr. V. Puvidaran, President's Counsel, Mr. Ramani Diseram, Mr. Vaninayak Kunratha Vaninayaka, Professor Vasantha Seniviratna, and Mrs. Inoka Pereira, President's Counsel, Senior Instructing Attorneys, Senior and Junior members of the profession, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. We are gathered here today to continue one of the most important traditions of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, the Convocation and the induction ceremony of the BASL. This convocation was originally scheduled to be held in March this year. However, owing to the prevailing fuel and travel restrictions at the time, we took the view that the responsible and prudent course of action was to postpone these proceedings. It is therefore with much happiness that we are able to convene today in a fuller and more stable circumstances to celebrate this important occasion together. It is also a singular honor for us to have with us today His Lordship Bhushan R. Gavai, the 52nd Chief Justice of India. We were hopeful of hosting your Lordship in Sri Lanka last year as well, but owing to unavoidable scheduling constraints, we were unable to find suitable dates. I'm therefore particularly pleased that your Lordship has accepted our invitation to visit Sri Lanka. This is your first visit, and deliver the keynote address at today's convocation. Your Lordship, thank you very much for honoring us with your distinguished presence. Ladies and gentlemen, I assumed office on the 29th of March 2025 at a particularly difficult moment in the recent history of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. The association had just emerged from one of the most challenging periods it had faced in decades. The resignation of both the then president and the then deputy president, the uncertainty that followed, and the broader concerns surrounding the functioning of the institution had understandably affected the confidence of the membership. And I must concur with His Lordship, Justice Godagoda, when we appreciated and thanked Mr. Galhena for single-handedly leading the Bar Association during that difficult time. The responsibility before us, therefore, when I took over, was not merely one of transition, but it was one of restoration. Recognizing the magnitude of the responsibility before us, I also took the considered decision upon assuming office to resign from the Monetary Board and the Monetary Policy Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, appointments that were approved by the Constitutional Council and which I would have otherwise continued to hold office until the year 2031. I considered it necessary that my fullest attention, independence and commitment be devoted towards the restoration, stability and progress of this great institution. That is a restoration of stability, the restoration of credibility, the restoration of confidence, and the restoration of direction to an institution that remains one of the most influential professional and civil society bodies in our country. That task was by no means easy. It required collective effort, discipline, maturity, and above all, a shared understanding that the BASL is far greater than any individual office bearer, grouping, or generation. And I believe that within a relatively short period of time, together, we were able to restore goodwill, confidence, and institutional stability. Conscious of the circumstances that had led to the earlier challenges, we also commenced a process of meaningful structural reform, particularly together with the Finance Committee and our auditors, to ensure that stronger governance mechanisms, financial discipline, and accountability are institutionalized within the BASL going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, over the years, many perspectives have emerged as to what the BASL should be. Some view it principally as a welfare society or a welfare body. Others as a professional association. Others as an independent civil society institution and guardian of democratic values. In my respective view, these are not competing identities. They are complementary dimensions of a single mandate. The BASL must protect its members, must also develop the profession. And it must remain an independent and principled voice in the defense of the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and the rights of the people of this country. This year, we commenced our work guided by three core principles. That is independence, inclusivity, and innovation. An independent bar, both institutionally and financially, remains fundamental to its credibility and effectiveness. A bar that is dependent, compromised, or selective in principle cannot effectively defend either its membership or the rule of law. Inclusivity, too, is no longer optional. It is imperative. It is interesting to note that today the composition of our profession is rapidly evolving. We now have more women than men entering the profession, an increasingly younger bar and a larger number of practitioners outside Colombo than within it. The BASL therefore cannot remain confined to traditional structures, traditional thinking, or traditional centers of influence. It must evolve together with its membership. And at the same time, many of the challenges faced by our profession and the broader administration of justice have remained unresolved for decades. Traditional methods alone have not always yielded the progress that we seek. We must therefore also embrace innovation, not merely technological innovation, but institutional innovation, policy innovation, and openness to new ways of thinking. The e-courts project, introduced by His Lordship the Chief Justice, is one such important initiative. And at its inauguration a couple of months back, when I spoke, I extended the cooperation of the bar for this important initiative. The future of the profession will not be shaped solely within our courtrooms. Technology, digitalization, evolving dispute resolution mechanisms, and changing professional expectations rapidly transforming legal practice globally. The BSL must therefore prepare its membership not merely for the profession as it exists today, but for the profession that will exist tomorrow. The legal profession that we practice in 10 years from now will not resemble the profession that existed 10 years ago. Artificial intelligence, digitalization, evolving dispute resolution mechanisms, and changing client expectations will fundamentally transform legal practice. Yet, amidst all these changes, integrity, judgment, courage, and humanity will remain irreplaceable. The digitalization of the BSL also progressed substantially during the year under review. Together with the UNDP and other stakeholders, we commenced the process of transition in the BSL towards a more modern, efficient, and progressively paperless institution. This process is now well underway and will, I believe, significantly improve the manner in which the association serves its membership. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not an easy task remaining in the middle. And when I say middle, I do not speak literally, but metaphorically. To remain independent, to remain principled, and to remain guided by conscience. To work not for camps, not for personalities, or not for convenience, but for what one genuinely believes to be correct. There was a time during my tenure as secretary of the BASL where during a particularly contested election, both sides accused me of supporting the other. At that moment, I considered that perhaps that was the greatest compliment I could receive, because it meant that I had remained in the middle. This year, as I pledged to the membership, I've endeavored to lead this institution based on principle, not on friendship, not on popularity, and not on convenience. But I firmly believe that the BSL must always act based on conscience, principle, and of course, importantly, collective responsibility. And that is why this institution must be led in trust. As president, I represent every member of this association, irrespective of grouping, ideology, seniority, or practice area. Throughout this year, the BSL remains steadfast in protecting its membership and defending the integrity of this profession. On the eve of my induction, a member of the bar from Puttalam was remanded on contempt charges. Despite the intervening long weekend, the BSL acted immediately, invoked the jurisdiction of the Court of Appeal, and secured interim relief at the earliest possible opportunity. And where concerns arose regarding the implementation of that relief that we have received from court, several members of the executive committee, together with myself, personally visited the Variapula prison to ensure that the order of court was duly given effect to. That intervention, ladies and gentlemen, reflected not merely support for one member, but the BSL's unwavering commitment to stand by its membership when principle demanded it. Similarly, following the tragic assassination of our colleague, Mr. Buddhika Mallavarachi, and his spouse, The BASL convened the general membership within 48 hours, the first such meeting in over 14 years. The unity demonstrated by the profession thereafter reflected the strength of a bar that understood that violence against lawyers is not merely an attack on individuals, but an attack on the administration of justice itself. The BASL also remained very active in matters concerning the rule of law, judicial independence, and human rights. We intervene where necessary, engage with stakeholders constructively, and continue to advocate for the protection of institutional independence and professional dignity. We also engage extensively with the police, the prison authorities, and other institutions where concerns affecting the rights and privileges of lawyers arose. And I must take this opportunity to thank the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Priyantha Veerasurya, and the Senior Inspector General of Police, Dr. Ajit Rohana, and other officers for all the assistance given to us during this year. I know both of you are in the audience, and thank you very much for that. One area in which we consciously decided to expand our focus was alternate dispute resolution, including mediation. Historically, ADR had not received the degree of attention within the profession that perhaps it deserved. Yet lawyers remain among those best equipped to serve as mediators, negotiators, and dispute resolution professionals. Accordingly, with the approval of the Bar Council, we decided to meaningfully invest in this area. During the year, the BSL entered into a memorandum of understanding with the UNDP under the Jury project for the establishment of a BSL Commercial Mediation Center, which is expected to become a reality shortly. This initiative will create significant opportunities for our membership while also strengthening the broader dispute resolution framework of the country. Our international engagement too expanded considerably. We entered into important collaborations with overseas bar associations, including the Law Society of Singapore, undertook high-level delegations abroad, and strengthened our relationship with the diplomatic community and international organizations. These engagements are important not merely ceremonially, but because they position the BSL and our profession within a broader global legal discourse. An important priority during this year was ensuring that the BSL does not remain confined to Colombo alone. The establishment of the first BSL center outside Colombo at the Candy Courts complex marked an important milestone in that journey. Similar centers will follow in other parts of the country in the next few months. Ladies and gentlemen, the BSL must belong equally to every member, irrespective of geography. Particular attention this year was also paid to the junior bar. A profession survives only when it meaningfully invests in its younger generation. During the year, a significant number of programs and initiatives are conducted for junior members, including induction programs, law forums, junior national conference, professional development initiatives, skills training programs, webinars, and the publication of a junior bar law journal. Ladies and gentlemen, in total, the BSL conducted 217 programs during the year under review, averaging almost one program every 1.7 days. This was an exceptionally active year for the institution, and these programs benefited members across all sectors of the profession, senior and junior, Colombo and outstation, litigation, government, and corporate. Over the past year, I have received immense support and encouragement from the membership across the country, both senior and junior alike, and I remain deeply grateful for that trust and confidence placed in me. I also wish to express my sincere appreciation to the Deputy President, Mr. Rienzi Asukuratnam, President's Council, for his wise counsel and advice all the time, the Secretary, Mr. Chatura Galhena, the Treasurer, Mr. Pasindu Silva, the Assistant Secretary, Mr. Sarinda Jayawardena, Zonal Vice Presidents, the Executive Committee, Bar Council, branch associations, standing committees, and the staff of the BASL for their dedication and support throughout this year. Both the Secretary, Mr. Chatura Gallihena, and the Assistant Secretary, Mr. Sarinda Jayawardena, have completed their terms, and whilst thanking them very much for the unstinted support and guidance, I wish them both the very best of wishes as they progress at the Bar Association. I also look forward to working with the new Secretary, Mr. Nalin De Silva. We have worked together before, and I'm confident that our combination will benefit our association. I also place on record my appreciation to the Chief Justice and the members of the judiciary, the Attorney General and the members of the Attorney General's Department, the Minister of Justice, the Secretary Ministry of Justice, and the officers of the Ministry of Justice, the officers of the Judicial Service Commission, the police, and all stakeholders who engaged constructively with the BSL during this period. There were also personal sacrifices that came with responsibility. One instance I recall was when I had to miss Hirun's birthday, who's seated in the second row, his fourth birthday, when we had to suddenly go to Variapala to release that member. But ladies and gentlemen, public office and institutional stewardship sometimes require us to place duty before comfort. I thank my parents, Sepala and Ramani Amarasuriya, my wife, Mahesha, my friends, my juniors, for all the support and advice given to me in the past year. And most importantly, to all of you, the membership. You stood with me over the last year, giving me the strongest support, possible support. I look forward to that, the very same this year. And I will pledge to continue to give my best in steering this great association. Public office and institutional stewardship carry with them a solemn responsibility. It is easy to make promises. It is much harder to honor them. Over the past year, we have endeavored not merely to meet the expectations placed upon us, but to exceed them. Ultimately, however, that judgment rests not with me, but with all of you, the membership. I conclude by saying this. The BSL does not belong to any one individual, office bearer, group, or generation. It belongs to the entirety of its membership. And beyond that, it forms part of the democratic fabric of this country itself. I therefore call upon all of you to continue this journey together with me during the second year. Let us remain united. Let us remain principled and independent. Let us continue to raise the standards of our profession, strengthen the institutions that safeguard democracy, and ensure that future generations inherit a bar that is stronger, more respected, and more courageous than the one we inherited. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya, the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest amongst us. Justice Bhushan Ramakrishna Gawai was born on the 24th of November 1960 in Amaravati in India. He joined the bar in 1985 and practiced mainly in constitutional and administrative law, appearing before the Bombay High Court and its Nagpur bench. He served as the Assistant Government Pleader, Additional Public Prosecutor, Government Pleader, and Public Prosecutor before being elevated as an additional judge of the Bombay High Court in 2003 and a permanent judge in 2005. Ladies and gentlemen, he was appointed Justice of the Supreme Court of India in 2019, and he became the 52nd Chief Justice of India on the 14th of May 2025, making history as the first Buddhist Chief Justice of India. And ladies and gentlemen, over his judicial career, he has presided over 700 benches and authored around 300 judgments and delivered lectures in leading institutions all over the world, including the University of Columbia and also the Harvard University. He retired on the 23rd of November 2025. It's a great honor and a privilege as the Bar Association of Sri Lanka to have you amongst us here, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, it is now my great honor and privilege to invite His Lordship, Bhushan R. Gawai, the 52nd Chief Justice of India, to deliver the keynote address.
Honorable Isanta Kodagowda, the Senior Most Judge of the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, my dear friend, Honorable Justice Nawaz, Honorable Ronta Abesurya, the President of the Appellate Court, Honorable Ravina Ranasinghe, the Attorney General of Sri Lanka, the learned Solicitor General, Shri Rajiv Amar Surya, the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Mr. Nelin De Silva, the Secretary of the Association, Mr. Pasila De Silva, the Treasurer, Mr. Arika Ratne, the Deputy President, the honorable members of the judiciary present here, the past presidents, past office bearers, the other office bearers of the association, the learned presidents' councils, the family members of Rajiv Amar Surya, the members of the Bar Council and the Bar Association. Good afternoon to all of you. It's a great pleasure for me to be amidst you this afternoon. As a matter of fact, as Raju said in his speech, after I adorned the office of the Chief Justice of India, he and both Justice Nawaz, they wanted me to visit Sri Lanka, which is a land of Buddha, and as a first Buddhist Chief Justice of India, I also desired to do so. But as Honorable Justice Kodagowda had said, that the time as a Chief Justice for me at my disposal was very short, and I had many accomplishments to fulfill, and therefore, though I sincerely desired, I could not make it during that period. And thereafter, I think the destiny desired that as the 52nd Chief Justice of India, I should attend Sri Lanka only for the 52nd convocation. So the 52nd, the number 52 appears to have some coincidence. I'm very much grateful to Honorable Justice Kodagowda for the kind words he has spoken about me. I don't know how much I deserve them, but I am really thankful to him from the bottom of my heart for such kind words. At the outset, I congratulate Rajiv Amar Surya and his entire team who are taking over in the 52nd convocation. We have all witnessed the eventful career of last 1 year of Rajiv and his team. And he had visited India. He had invited in fact, on the last occasion when for a conference at Kandy, I was invited. I could not make it, and I had requested the present Chief Justice of India, who was J1 at that time, Justice Suryakant, to attend it. My heartiest congratulations to the entire team, and thanks for the kind invitation. The Bar Association of Sri Lanka has an inspiring journey. Its story, in many ways, is the story of the legal profession's own conscience in Sri Lanka. Institutions acquire significance not merely because the date of their establishments or the length of their existence, but because of the values they continue to defend across generations. Over the past 5 decades, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka has emerged not only as a professional body of lawyers, but as a moral and constitutional presence within the life of the nation. Its roots stretch far deeper than 1974. They travel back to the early foundations of the legal professions in Sri Lanka, to a time when the profession itself was divided into separate branches of advocates and proctors. Yet, through these institutional transitions and historical transformations, one principle remained constant: the belief that the law must ultimately serve society and that the legal profession carries responsibilities that go beyond courts, briefs, and statutes. What is remarkable about the Bar Association of Sri Lanka is that it has managed to preserve both dignity and relevance at the same time. Many institutions inherit prestige from history. Very few continue to earn public trust through their conduct in the present. The Bar Association of Sri Lanka has done precisely that. The true strength of a bar association is not measured merely by the number of lawyers it represents. Its strength lies in whether it possesses the courage to speak when silence is convenient, whether it can defend the institutional integrity when institutions themselves are under strain, and whether it can continue to nurture younger generations of lawyers with a sense of professional ethics and public responsibility. In that sense, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka represents something larger than a professional guild. It represents a continuing commitment to justice itself. One also notices with deep admiration that the association has never confined its role to the narrow boundaries of professional protectionism. Its interventions have consistently conveyed that the independence of the bar and the citizens' rights are deeply interconnected. It is therefore a privilege for me to be invited by such an distinguished institution and on such an important event. More importantly, it is an opportunity to participate in a larger conversation shared across jurisdictions. How members of the bar can continue to defend liberty, constitutionalism, and the dignity of individuals is increasingly challenging times. Let me share my firm conviction. The bar and the bench are not two distinct or competing institutions in a constitutional democracy. They are complementary to each other. As I always say, that they are like two wheels of the golden chariot of the institution of justice, on which the accountability of the state rests. If one falters, the entire structure begins to lose balance. I firmly believe that both the bar and the bench must have mutual respect for each other, where the lawyers are expected not to browbeat the judges are also expected to treat the lawyers with the dignity that they deserve. I may narrate an incident which just happened 2 or 3 days in India, in Hyderabad. One of the learned judges of the High Court, annoyed with the conduct of a lawyer, had directed the arrest of a lawyer. The bar associations rose to the occasion and the Supreme Court intervened, and an unnecessary clash between the bar and the bench was avoided. Much is often said about the necessity of an independent judiciary for the functioning of a democracy. That proposition is, of course, undeniable. Courts are the ultimate interpreters of the Constitution, but an independent judiciary does not operate in isolation. Its independence is both sustained and tested through the functioning of an independent bar. An independent bar resists pressures challenges excesses, and maintains a culture of constitutional argument. In moments of institutional stress, it is often the bar that stands between the judiciary and attempts to dilute its autonomy. The bar also represents the citizens. It is a bar that brings issues before the court. It is a bar that speaks for those who may otherwise have no voice within the constitutional structures. In that sense, the independence of the bar is not a professional privilege. It is a constitutional necessity. It ensures that citizens have access to representation that is not compromised by external influence. It ensures that the state is held to account through reasoned argument and legal challenges. In my view, if the judiciary is the guardian of the Constitution, the bar is its vigilant ally. Together, they sustain the promise of constitutional democracy. I will now share a few experiences from India. In India, the freedom movement against colonial rule was shaped in significant measures by the individuals trained in law. Many of its leading figures, including Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, were lawyers. This reveals something deeper about the relationship between the law, politics, and social transformation. Take Mahatma Gandhi, for instance. Though trained as a lawyer, his contribution went far beyond the courtrooms. He developed the idea of civil disobedience, not as a rejection of law, but as a moral critique of unjust law. His method transformed the vocabulary of resistance. Similarly, Dr. Ambedkar used law as an instrument of constitutional design and social reform. His role in drafting the Indian Constitution is well known, but his engagement with law extended far beyond institutional drafting. Through movements such as the Mahar Satyagraha of 1927, he challenged deeply entrenched social hierarchies. The struggle was not merely about access to public water tank. It was about dignity, equality, and recognition as equal members of the political community. These examples illustrate that the role of a lawyer and of an independent bar extends far beyond litigation. Lawyers shape the moral and political imagination of a society. They articulate claims of rights, frame the language through which injustice is defined and identified, and help build the constitutional discourse that ultimately finds expression in legal doctrine. After the Indian Constitution came into force, the role of lawyers assumed a new and equally vital form. The Constitution had to be interpreted and translated into practical meaning through concrete cases. In this space, members of the bar played a central role in shaping Indian constitutionalism. A striking example is Nani Palkhiwala. Through his arguments before the Supreme Court, he advanced the proposition that Parliament's power to amend the Constitution is not unlimited. He argued that certain foundational features of the Constitution cannot be destroyed even by constitutional amendments. These arguments culminated in the landmark decision of Keshavanand Bharati versus State of Kerala, where the Supreme Court articulated the basic structure doctrine. The court held that while Parliament possesses the powers of amendment, it cannot alter the basic structure of the Constitution. Another important moment came during the emergency imposed in 1975. In ADM Jabalpur versus Shivkant Shukla, the Supreme Court upheld the suspension of the right to approach courts for enforcement of personal liberty during emergency. The lone dissent came from Justice H.R. Khanna, who held that even during an emergency, the state cannot deprive a person of life or liberty without authority of law. Justice Khanna knew the institutional cost of his position. He was superseded for the office of the Chief Justice of India after his dissent. Yet, what followed is equally significant. The bar did not remain silent. The Supreme Court Bar Association and the Bar Association across India protested the supersession, and defended the principle of judicial independence. It's a matter of great pride that he is one of the few judges whose portrait hangs in the walls of Court number 2 of the Supreme Court of India, reminding the lawyers about the independence of judiciary and the judicial independence. Questions concerning judicial independence later surfaced in the context of judicial appointments. The Bar Association often raised this issue in two such judgments which emerged from the cases brought out by the Supreme Court Advocates on Records Association in 1993 and 2015. The Supreme Court of India emphasized the primacy of the judiciary in matters recommending candidates for the appointments as the judges of the constitutional courts. As a measure to safeguard the judicial independence, it could be thus seen that it is the bar who rose to protect the independence of judiciary, and the court responded to that. The Supreme Court has also emphasized the judicial independence even in the appointments to tribunals, including the administrative tribunals, in a series of cases brought by the Madras Bar Association, to which I referred yesterday. We held that even the members of the tribunal must act independently and they should not be dependent for the age of retirement or the extension of their term on the executive. It adversely affects the independence of judiciary. At the same time, an independent bar contributes to judicial accountability. Judicial independence cannot mean insulation from scrutiny. Members of the bar, through their daily engagement with courts, are often the first to notice irregularities or departures from institutional standards. By speaking against such conduct of a judge when necessary, the bar strengthens rather than weakens constitutional institutions. The lawyers in India have also safeguarded rights through public interest litigations. Beginning in the 1980s, the Supreme Court relaxed the traditional rule of locus standi, allowing lawyers and concerned individuals to approach courts on behalf of the individuals who, on account of their socio-economic difficulties, were not in a position to approach the court directly. This transformed access to justice to the have-nots. M.C. Mehta played a pioneering role in environmental jurisprudence by bringing issues of pollution and industrial hazards before the court. D.K. Basu initiated proceedings that led to important safeguards governing arrest and detention. These interventions demonstrate that lawyers have not merely responded to the rights violations, they have actively shaped the contours of constitutional rights themselves. In one of the judgments that I delivered in court number 2, we had noticed that in a particular state, the members of the executive were demolishing the houses of the people by bulldozing them on the ground that they were suspects. The Supreme Court held that the executive cannot be a judge in its own cause, and even a person, he be a convict, he cannot be deprived of his house without following due process of law. We held that the house is not housed only by a suspect or a convict, but by his parents, by his children, by his brothers and sisters, and the members of the family cannot be penalized without following the due procedure. And we issued certain directions to be followed in such matters. If you look beyond India, we see that this role of independent bar is common to constitutional democracies across the world. In the United States, the civil rights movement was not fought only on the streets, but also in the courts. Lawyers associated with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, including Thurgood Marshall, strategically challenged racial segregation through constitutional litigation. These efforts culminated in Brown versus Board of Education decision in 1954, where the US Supreme Court declared racial segregation in public schools as unconstitutional. The experience of Sri Lanka reflects similar constitutional traditions. While preparing for this address, I had an occasion to read about the history of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. What stands out is its willingness to engage with moments of constitutional stress. During the impeachment proceedings against the Chief Justice in 2012, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka took a principled position concerning due process and judicial independence. Lawyers in Sri Lanka have also contributed significantly to the evaluation of public interest litigation and rights-based constitutional discourse. Through such interventions, the bar has functioned not merely as a professional association, but as a constitutional actor. When yesterday I was traveling with a young colleague of Rajiv, Nishad, he informed me that the beach, which was just across the hotel where I was staying, was thought to be given to some private sectors by the government, but it is at the instance of the bar in the public interest litigation, the place could be saved where the citizens go there to enjoy their evenings. These experiences tell us the importance of the independence of bar, the contribution of bar in maintaining the rights of the citizens. To conclude, the experience of both India and Sri Lanka, it demonstrates that the strength of the constitutional democracy depends not only upon the constitutional text or institutional design, it depends equally upon the presence of an independent, vigilant, and engaged bar. As the legal systems across the world confront common challenges such as transnational crime, migration, digital governance, and environmental degradation, the role of an independent bar becomes more and more important. It has a duty to keep its national judiciaries aware of the global trends in doctrinal evolution and emerging approaches to tackle new challenges. Before I conclude, I must place on my record my deep appreciation for the eventful career of Rajiv and his colleague over the last 1 year. We have seen so many events and the contribution of the Bar Association, even in the times of cyclone and when an unfortunate incident of assassination of its members happened. I have no manner of doubt that the present tenure, which has commenced in March, of Rajiv and his colleagues would be equally illustrious and eventful as was the last tenure. I extend my best wishes to them for an eventful and illustrious career and end my conversation with you with a shared commitment to dialogue, learning, and constitutional conscience. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Lordship. We now move to the presentation of tokens of appreciation. I would like to humbly invite the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya, Attorney at Law, and the Management Committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka to kindly join for this presentation. We first acknowledge Mr. Chatura Galhena, Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for 2025-2026. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause as we acknowledge the Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for 2025-2026, Mr. Chatura Galhena, Attorney at Law. We'd also like to thank him for his remarkable service for the profession, being the Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. Thank you, sir, for your enormous contribution. The heartfelt moment. Next, we would like to acknowledge Mr. Sarinder Jayawardena, Assistant Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, 2025-2026, for his remarkable contribution. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to witness a very important moment. We now proceed with the conferring of honoris causa membership upon Mr. Upul Jayasuriya, President's Council. Mr. Upul Jayasuriya, President's Council, was the Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka from 1991 to 1993. He was also the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, 2013 to 2015. As this reads, whereas the Executive Committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for the year 2025-2026 at its meeting held on 23rd day of January 2026 decided unanimously to recommend to the Bar Council to confer the privilege of life membership of the said association on Mr. Upul Jayasuriya, President's Council, in recognition of the distinguished services rendered by him to the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. We would also like to present a token of appreciation. Before that, we are going to capture this important moment. A very important moment as the autobiography of Mr. Upul Jayasuriya is being presented to His Lordship Bhushan R. Gawai, the 52nd Chief Justice of India. We need a big round of applause as we celebrate this important milestone. Next, ladies and gentlemen, the token of appreciation will be presented to His Lordship Bhushan R. Gawai, the 52nd Chief Justice of India.
Ladies and gentlemen, this token of appreciation to Justice Gawai is presented by the President and the Management Committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. We sincerely thank His Lordship for gracing this occasion, and we thank him for sharing his knowledge and wisdom with the members of the Bar of Sri Lanka. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And now, as we draw close to the end of the formal session today, We would like to invite the Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Mr. Nalin C. De Silva, Attorney at Law, to deliver the closing remarks.
His Lordship Bhushan Ramakrishna Gawai, the 52nd Chief Justice of India, His Lordship Yasantha Kodaguda, President's Counsel, Judge of the Supreme Court, Honorable Parinda Ranasinghe, President's Counsel, Attorney General, His Lordship Rohantha Abesurya, President's Counsel, President of the Court of Appeal, Honorable Viraj Dayaratna, President's Counsel, Solicitor General, Lordships and Ladyships of the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal, Honorable Judges of the High Courts, District Courts and Magistrate Courts, Learned President's Counsel, Mr. President and the Office Bearers, representatives of the diplomatic corps, distinguished members of the Bar Council, special invitees from academia, our esteemed corporate partners and sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished gathering. It is now my pleasant duty as the Secretary of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka to deliver the vote of thanks at the conclusion of this annual convocation for the year 2026-2027. At the outset, on behalf of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka and the newly elected Executive Committee, we are deeply privileged and honored by the presence of His Lordship Bhushan Ramakrishna Gawai, the 52nd Chief Justice of India. Your Lordship's participation at this significant gathering reflects the long-standing friendship, mutual respect, and shared legal traditions between India and Sri Lanka. It is indeed an honor for the legal fraternity of Sri Lanka to welcome Your Lordship here today. I also extend our sincere appreciation to His Lordship Yasantha Kodaguda, President's Counsel, Justice of the Supreme Court, for gracing this occasion and for the continued support extended towards strengthening the justice sector and upholding the rule of law in country. Our respectful thanks are also due to Honorable Parinda Ranasinghe, President's Counsel, Attorney General, for his distinguished presence and his continued contribution towards the administration of justice and the development of legal system of Sri Lanka. I further wish to acknowledge with gratitude the presence of His Lordship Rohantha Abesurya, President's Counsel, President of the Court of Appeal, and Honorable Viraj Dayaratna, President's Counsel, Solicitor General, for honoring this occasion with their presence and continued support to the legal profession. I also wish to acknowledge with deep appreciation the presence of their Lordships and Ladyships of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal, as well the Honorable Judges of the High Courts, District Courts, and Magistrate Courts. Your presence here today symbolizes the enduring relationship of mutual respect and cooperation shared between the bench and the bar in safeguarding the independence, dignity, and integrity of legal profession. Our sincere appreciation is also extended to the representatives of the diplomatic corps, distinguished members of academia, our valued corporate partners and sponsors, and all special invitees whose presence has undoubtedly added immense value and prestige to today's proceedings. I take this opportunity to congratulate the newly elected office bearers and members of the Executive Committee of the Bar Council for the year 2026-2027. We are deeply humbled by the confidence reposed in us by the membership, and we undertake these responsibilities with commitment, integrity, and unwavering dedication to the service of the profession and the nation. I also wish to place on record our appreciation to all members of the Bar Council who participated in today's proceedings in a cordial, democratic, and professional manner, thereby upholding the proud traditions and values of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. A special word of thanks must also be extended to the former Secretary, Mr. Chatura Galhena, Assistant Secretary, Mr. Sarinda Jayawardena, Election Committee headed by the Honorable Solicitor General, the staff of the BASL Secretariat, and every individual who worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure the smooth and successful conduct of this important event. Finally, I wish to thank all our colleagues, invitees, partners, and well-wishers for your continued trust, support, and confidence in the Baka Association of Sri Lanka. We look forward to working together in unity and purpose to uphold the rule of law, protect the independence of the legal profession, and further strengthen the administration of justice in our country. Thank you all, and I wish everyone a pleasant evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nalin C. De Silva. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the formal proceedings of the 52nd annual convocation of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. On behalf of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, I would like to once again thank each and every one of you for your gracious presence and for your participation. You are now warmly invited for networking, light refreshments, and wine hosted by the Bar Association of Sri Lanka.
And ladies and gentlemen, lunch for all outstation delegates will be hosted by the Colombo Law Society at Solis Hotel in Pitakotte. Thank you and have a pleasant evening.
We would like to thank the head table as well. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant afternoon.